The next item on tonight's agenda is another information-only item. It's a facilities maintenance and construction program update with Chris Freund coming up to share some info with us.
So I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight about something I'm passionate about, and that is the facilities department and our team and our plans to, move forward and support our buildings in the future and kind of review what we've done in the past. So I do really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys tonight. So points of discussion, going to give you an overview of the facilities department, kind of what we do, how we are constructed, a review of the bond issue 17, just a quick recap on that, how we're transitioning to Prop 3, and then what is in our future. A quick review of the district profile. I know a lot of people know this information, but I think it's important that we reemphasize what it means to support Rockwood School District. A lot of people think that it's just Eureka or it's just Chesterfield or it's just Fenton. That is not the case. So our actual profile is we do have 37 building sites. They are spread over 150 square miles. And with our recent addition at the transportation department at Wildwood, we are now over 3.9 million square feet of building space throughout the district. And that is spread across 722 acres of land. So we are a very large district. I think everybody in here knows that, but I think sometimes it's important to reemphasize how big we actually are. So what do we do? I will preface this by saying that the quick overview that I'm going to give you of each department is not going to do justice to what we deal with on a daily basis. We do not have enough time in the evening to go through everything that we take phone calls on and just different events that take place every hour of the day. But I do want to talk through a little bit each one of the departments and kind of give you a high level overview of what their responsibilities are. The custodial department, obviously, they support school operations during the day, provide heavy cleaning services in the evening. They are responsible for snow removal. And then a big one is they provide event support for both district sponsored and outside rental groups. So that's one that people tend to lose sight of. They think that custodial support is cleaning. We have tens of thousands of events that take place in our buildings. We've done a very good job in the past and will in the future of making our buildings accessible to our patrons. But that takes support. So that takes custodial effort and a lot of overtime at times to make those events happen. And we've done our best to keep that going, even though we're dealing with some of the staffing challenges I'll share with you in a little bit. Maintenance, support of our building's mechanical systems. So HVAC, electrical, plumbing, painting operations, and general maintenance. Some other things that they are involved with are any kind of code compliant things that come up. Recently, we've had to color code our buildings for the fire and police departments in the area. Insurance claims, any kind of insurance claim that comes up, they're dealing with those. And then something that was recently in the news is the lead and water testing and remediation process. They're directly involved with that as well. The grounds department, mowing and landscaping operations, athletic field maintenance, and preparation for events and snow removal. So not only are we taking care of the grounds by mowing grass and doing landscaping, that department is also responsible for prepping all athletic fields for every event that takes place in the district. Just a quick overview of snow removal. So custodial and grounds are both involved in that. To simplify things, just kind of picture the curb line at a school. The custodial group is responsible for everything from the curb line in, and then the grounds department plows everything from the curb line out. So the parking lots and other areas. I did put a line between custodial, maintenance, grounds, and construction, because when you look at our department, excuse me, and the responsibilities, it really is two different animals. So everything above that line, so custodial, maintenance, and grounds, that primary focus is to support the school day. Things that are happening during school, work orders that are coming in, emergencies that are taking place. That's really what keeps the wheel turning on a daily basis, are those three groups. The construction group is focused on bond issues, capital projects, transitioning to Prop 3, cycle maintenance. All of those type things fall underneath the construction umbrella. So they work collaboratively with the design and construction teams in all phases of the execution of all of our capital projects. This includes the capital planning, budgeting, design, procurement, and delivery of projects. I do want to add what makes us unique to a lot of other districts. So a lot of other districts, they will hire a construction management firm, a program manager, construction manager at risk right now is a big thing that you're hearing about in schools. One of the things that we do differently is we don't involve those third parties. We work directly with our team, an architect, and a contractor. So what does that mean? So when you hire one of those firms, typically you can take your construction cost and figure you're going to pay 6 to 12% of that cost to that firm to manage your projects. And the reason I bring this up is I think this is one of the key reasons why we've been so successful with stretching our dollar. We're not paying 6 and 12% to a firm or a management company to do our projects. We're handling that ourselves, and then we're able to reinvest those savings to do more projects. So how does this happen? We have a district this big, all of these responsibilities. How do we get this done? This is a really, really cool slide. So we have 15 members of our office staff and our leadership team. And those people are listed on this slide. In the parentheses next to each person, that is actually the years of service that they have in Rockwood. The reason I point that out, I am a firm believer that you can achieve great things if you have the right people around you. And the people on this slide are the right people. They're responsible for all the areas that I've just discussed. And you can see maintenance has 45 positions, grounds has 22, custodial has 201. They're responsible for all of our team throughout the district and making things run throughout the district smoothly on a daily basis. I do want to call out the custodial supervisors, as I'll get into a little more here in a second about staffing. Our custodial department has been hit very hard with some staffing challenges. We've always had those positions classified as a working position, so they've always been boots on the ground if necessary. The past 2 to 3 years, those gentlemen are not only leading their quadrants, you can see their respective quadrants underneath their names, but they are also doing cleaning. They're cleaning bathrooms, they're scrubbing floors, they're doing everything we need to do to support things. They even come in on weekends and support events if we can't get a custodian to come in and do that, or they have a conflicting schedule. So I think it's important that we recognize the folks that are on this screen and the accomplishments that they've been able to achieve. So real quick, with all of those years of service, this is astounding to me. Of those 15 people, there's 289 years of experience in Rockwood. That's pretty amazing, because that doesn't even include what experience they may have had outside the district, because some of these folks worked outside the district in the trades fields before they came to us. So what you're seeing is 289 years of experience within the district. That's how we get done what we get done. So I can't overlook or overstate how important this group of people is. All right, so staffing update, I mentioned it a couple times. The numbers that I'm going to share with you are as of tonight. So as of consent this evening, this is where our numbers are. We already know this has changed. Next board meeting, some of this is going to go up, some of this is going to go down. But a couple things I do want to point out. So the custodial department, there's 201 positions and we currently have 77 openings. That's still outrageous. But I do want to point out, as of September, we had 91 openings, and that was the high water mark that we've hit. That's as bad as it's gotten thus far, and hopefully we never see that number again. So since September, we've successfully onboarded 14 full-time employees. To put that in perspective, we did not see an application from April to September. So a couple of things, I think there's a shift in the workforce right now, and the way things are outside the district, I think that is bringing us some candidates. We've made a lot of efforts, and we're currently working with Mary and her department on an organized campaign, not only for facilities, but other departments in the district, to really get the word out on how great it is to come and work at Rockwood. So with all of that, I do think the custodial piece of this is shifting a little bit. We're seeing some progress, and hopefully we continue down that road. I do want to point out, we currently have 68 part-time employees in the custodial department. So When we were approaching that 70 openings, 80 openings, 91 openings, we knew we had to do something, because the one thing we don't control who applies for our jobs. We can try and influence that, but we can't make that happen. And when we realized that that was not going to change anytime soon, we created a part-time position in the custodial department. So what the majority of those folks are is they are Rockwood employees that have other roles in the district that come and help us when they're done with their regular schedule hours. And I will tell you right now, those 68 people have saved us. If we did not have that assistance, I'm not sure where we would be right now. So that has been really important to keep things afloat. And now we're starting to see that shift the other way. So hopefully we continue this progress. Maintenance department has a total of 45 positions. Currently, as of tonight, there's 5 openings. We do know we've had a resignation in the past week, so that's in the painting department. So we'll have 6 next board meeting. And then in the grounds department, we have 22 positions, 3 current openings, and we know that we've had 2 more individuals that are either transferring or moving out of the district. So that'll be 5 next board meeting. I do want to point out we've always had a summer program in the district for our painting. If you're familiar with my background, that's actually how I started at Rockwood. I was a summer painter back in 1991. So we have really struggled the past 3 years to fill those positions. Typically, we have 12 painters that help knock out large projects throughout the district during the summer months. With COVID and the hangover from that, we've had a lot of trouble getting people in the door for those positions. We've kind of re-upped, reevaluated things, looked at the pay rate, and we're already seeing some improvement in that. We have 9 applicants right now for the summer jobs that we have available. And I do want to point out we've expanded that because we know we have needs in custodial and grounds. So we're hiring summer positions in all 3 of our departments. And as I mentioned, we're working on a campaign right now with Mary and her team to really get the word out and spread the word on how great of a place this is to work and the opportunities that we have out there. All right, let's transition to bond issue 17. I won't take a whole lot of time up on this because we are motoring towards the future, but I do want to discuss this briefly and just kind of remind everybody what we accomplished with bond issue 17. So included in bond issue 17 was $75 million worth of special projects. So that's basically brick and mortar, major renovations, building additions, new buildings. So that included the new Eureka Elementary, the high school STEM upgrades, which included pretty big additions at Marquette and Eureka High School. Elementary STEM upgrades, I think people kind of lose sight of that. We made an effort to put a STEM lab type facility in every single elementary school in the district. The Gagey addition is another one that people kind of forget about because that was one of the initial projects we did back in 2015, but we constructed a rather large wing at Gagey for enrollment purposes, and that is now their kindergarten wing. The Wildwood, the Wildwood multi-purpose room, we constructed that. It was the only middle school that we had that did not have 2 spaces, a main gym and a multi-purpose room. So we constructed a multi-purpose room there. And I do want to point out that it was constructed as a storm shelter. And on another note, the gym at Eureka Elementary is also a storm shelter. So we actually have 2 storm shelters in the district now. Also included $9 million in cycle maintenance. So we all know this discussion. That's HVAC, flooring, roofing, restroom renovations, parking lots, athletic facility improvements, etc. I do want to emphasize this $9 million for a second because we started projects in 2017 and we just completed projects in 2023. And in bond issue 17, we had $9 million. So if you divide that out and think about what that was, it's a little over $1.3 million a year is what we've been living on for cycle maintenance. So that explains a little bit of what we've talked about previously with HVAC needs and things like that. But the other thing it's going to really emphasize as we get to another slide or two is how big of a game changer Prop 3 is. Knowing that we've survived, basically with Band-Aids and duct tape on 1.3 million for the last 6 or 7 years. I'll show you in a slide or two what that means moving forward with Prop 3 in place. And then the last point is a pretty important one. And Mr. Dunn mentioned this actually earlier in his patron comments. And I'm not sure a lot of people realize this. So due to favorable bid conditions, good project management, we were able to accomplish $6 million in additional projects. So what that means, these aren't projects that we dreamed up. They were on the list, but when we initially constructed the bond issue, they were not within the original budget of the bond issue. So what we did is as we went along and we knew there was some savings, we started targeting other projects on the list. So we basically just continued down the list as far as we could. So there was an additional 6 million in projects completed, and that included high school tennis court renovations at all 4 locations, bleacher replacements, indoor replacements at all 4 locations, ADA improvements, the new Eureka Transportation Lot, which is formerly the old Eureka Elementary, and then Rockwood Summit and Rockwood Valley wellness areas. So they had nurses areas that were very inadequate, and we were able to upgrade those as part of that 6 million. So to briefly kind of give you an update on where we are right now, we know that bond issue 17 expired last summer. We know Prop 3 funds will be available in 2025. So what are we doing now? So we are, and you've heard this before, we are in a fix on failure mode right now for 2024. So what does that mean? That means we have $3.89 million allocated out of our operational budget for fix on failure needs and priority system replacements. So we currently have about 1.1 million of that left, and we are in January. So we're hopeful we don't have any other large catastrophic items that come up, but we also are realistic and we know we're going to have to deal with some other things between now and next year. A few examples of what we've been dealing with, fix on failure. We've had both chiller towers at Wildwood Middle School have catastrophic failure. So one was during the summer and one just recently happened in the last week or two. So we've been dealing with that. Rockwood Valley and Ridge Meadows, we both had subgrade conduit failures. So basically the original conduit that the electrical feeds to the parking lot lights were in have deteriorated and failed. So we've had to, basically run all new conduit, all new wire. And then Chesterfield Plumbing, we had an interior leak in that building that caused a little bit of damage, but we had a pipe inside the walls that we had to get addressed. So those are kind of not, by no means is that everything we've been dealing with, but those are examples of fix on failure. Priority system replacements. So we've already brought both of these construction contracts to you guys for approval. We are replacing the HVAC system at Early Childhood Clarkson Valley and doing a roof renovation afterwards. And then Eureka High School, the main gym unit, that's been a source of contention for a while and quite a challenge. So that unit will be replaced this summer. Just to kind of put that in perspective, just the one unit over the gym at Eureka High School is about $330,000. So that's where we're at now. But in the meantime, we are transitioning to Prop 3. The initiative was successful back in November, so we have been in the planning stages moving forward, getting ready to go for when this funding is available. So we're focusing right now on the first year of implementation. So that would be 24-25 school year. And that funding will provide us $11.2 million for facility cycle maintenance. So I take you back to the bond issue slide and the average of a little over 1.3 million. Once this is implemented the first year, we see 11.2. So we should be able, again, it's not an overnight fix, but we should start making up ground rather quickly. Additional $7.5 million generated by Prop 3 will go to technology and safety and security. We're currently exploring systems that will assist with long-range planning and budgeting of cycle maintenance. So we have systems in place right now, but they've really been geared towards bond issues, which are, as everyone knows, they're big slugs of money that come at one time and you do as much as you can in that period of time. Well, now we're shifting gears a little bit because we have the ability to long-term plan, knowing what our funding is going to be on an annual basis. So we're looking for the right system to assist us with that. A big piece of that is we want a system that we can be transparent in reporting to our stakeholders. We want to make sure that there's information available on what we've done and what we plan on doing. That way we can be completely transparent with the public and earn their trust on that this was absolutely the right thing to do. The last one, Capital Planning Advisory Committee. So we are looking at assembling a committee to meet and discuss district needs as we progress through Proposition 3. So once this funding is available, we are already starting to slot in potential projects. I do want to emphasize that these are tentative because we know we have a fixed budget, that 11.2 million that first year. And obviously that's a couple years off, so the bid climate could change a little bit. I don't believe it'll be, without any unforeseen craziness. It should be pretty close to what we're seeing now. But you never know. The last couple of years, the construction costs have gone through the roof. So we're hopeful they'll stabilize. We have tried to account for some of that in our budgeting process. So we're confident that what you see on this list, we should be able to get to. So we know from past discussion, HVAC systems are a huge need in this district. We still have 20 systems plus in our district that are 20 years or older. So 2025 is the first year we're going to get to take a bite out of that. So we intend on addressing Ellisville Elementary, Kerrs Mill, and Utah. That roughly is about $6 million right now is what we're figuring those three schools will cost. Door access control upgrades was part of the safety and security discussion. So we installed a monitoring system at Eureka Elementary when we constructed that building that allows to monitor every exterior door on the campus. It'll alert somebody if a door is ajar. And then we are going to shift over to a pin pad system for access and try and phase away from keys. Keys are old technology, so we need to move forward. We're estimating it's about $2 million to upgrade the rest of the district, so we're going to do it in two phases. First phase would be about $1 million, and we would focus on elementaries and some middle schools. Third bullet. Third bullet, wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So I do want to briefly talk about this because I don't think everyone realizes we have 3 campuses in our district that are not on MSD's sewer system. So what that means is we have wastewater treatment plants at LaSalle, Rockwood Valley, and Wildwood. The Department of Natural Resources has recently tightened up their thresholds on acceptable levels at those plants. Our plants are operational and they know our current state. We've been working with them on a plan to upgrade our facilities in the future. And now that funding is available, we have to account for those upgrades. So the first one we'll be doing is Rockwood Valley. The second year we would do LaSalle. The only one of the 3 that there is some potential that MSD could be coming our way at some point is Wildwood. So we'll stage that one last, and hopefully there's some developments before we get down that road. Hard surface paving replacement, Lafayette High School. So anyone that's been in and out of Lafayette recently, I don't have to tell you that parking lot needs some help. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the most expensive parking lots we have in the district. So right now we're estimating that's about 2.1 million. Cycle maintenance district-wide. So basically, those are the targeted projects above that. And once we know what our numbers are, we're going to have a list of stuff to do throughout the buildings with restroom refresh, flooring, playgrounds, vehicle refresh, and equipment refresh. We'll address all of those items with the remainder of that money. A lot of information. I know I jumped around a little bit from just general facilities to Prop 3 to everything else. Are there any questions about anything that I covered?
I just want to thank so many of your groups, facilities, custodians. They've been stretched extremely thin. And I know a lot of our staff members, administrators, and teachers have been filling in, especially at the custodial level, and trying to chip in to help out. So thank you so much. And I think it's a testament to your leadership to have people stay on staff as long as they have in trying situations. So thank you so much for your leadership there as well. My question to you is, can you explain to me a little bit with the custodial shortage, what does that look like at elementary schools, middle schools, high schools? Let's say, for instance, Kerrs Mill Elementary only has 1 custodian. How do you manage that?
So right now it's a shell game. We move pieces. So if we have a building that's fully staffed, we'll get that building knocked out, but chances are there'll be somebody from that crew that will be going to another facility. That's the only way you can do it. It's the part-time help and being able to move pieces. That's really how we're doing it. And by no means is a level of service where we want it to be right now. This is a new world for everybody. And you mentioned teachers helping out, cleaning some classroom spaces. All of that is so greatly appreciated because we're in a space right now that we've never been. No one's ever been here. And everybody's kind of come to the realization that it's going to take a group effort to get through this. And hopefully we are. Like I said, some of the numbers that we're seeing right now are trending in the right direction, but don't hear me say we don't have a long way to go. You know, our typical float for openings and custodial before all of this was about 10 to 13. If we got to 13 people, we were scratching our heads. And now we're at 77. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to chime in with what Carrie mentioned. So first off, I'm the spouse of a Wildwood band director with a bad back. And I got to tell you, at least once a week, she comes home and tells me how great the custodial staff is and the support she gets at Wildwood. So I just want to re-echo the comments there. Hats off to your team. Overworked they may be, but they continue to stretch to support the school, the teachers, and the kids. So hats off to them. Specific question, though, as we look at the Prop 3 money, you know, that is cycle maintenance.
Yes.
So how do you feel about our backlog of major projects that are out there? Is that something we need to address in the future as a board?
So I do believe some of the what you would consider major stuff, you know, so obviously bond issues are still in the conversation down the road. Anytime you're going to construct a building, and that's all driven by enrollment. So if you have new developments, things like that, we have to start talking about bond issues. The purpose of Prop 3 was to try and catch everything below that. And I feel like we're going to be in a position to do that, you know, 2-3 years down the road. I've shared with you guys, you know, our needs in HVAC, but again, when I did that presentation, I also mentioned, you know, typically a roofing system is the same age as your HVAC. So we have a little catch up to do. And once we get there, I think the funding that we're talking and what's coming down the road, we will eventually be able to start looking at some of those projects that don't necessarily qualify for a bond issue, but they are large ticket items. I do believe we're going to get there.
So the nice to have list, for
Yes.
lack of a better phrase.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
One thing I saw on the cycle maintenance was playgrounds.
Yes.
And could you give us a little insight on that? I'm assuming that a lot of it is to make them ADA compliant as well, and as well as the age of them.
Correct. So it's kind of a broad conversation. So most, if not all of our playgrounds right now are ADA accessible. So even the mulched areas that we have, they are technically ADA certified. Now we understand that not all situations are the same. If someone has a walker as opposed to a wheelchair, it can make it a little more difficult. The playground equipment itself, we're starting to see a trend where folks are trying to make every piece of equipment accessible on a playground. I can tell you that that's a very expensive endeavor. We have a lot of equipment that is accessible at this time. So that's something we're going to need to talk about as a district as we move forward and we start working down our priority list on the schools that we know are in the greatest need. Is we really need to have a plan on what are our expectations, what are our goals when we refurbish a playground, what do we want to accomplish? So that's all in the planning process. To really prioritize where we're going. We know right now we have a couple locations that are priorities. Green Pines is one of them. We know that they have a great need over there. But again, unfortunately, when you're talking about playground equipment, it is another very expensive ticket. So we need to be very strategic about how we approach it.
Thank you.
Actually, a couple of fantastic presentations. Chris, appreciate your effort. Your ability to know exactly what is happening in district, and then also literally be able to look down the road and help us navigate future needs. I do want the board to know just a couple of pieces. The Capital Planning Advisory Committee, we are going to ask that there be board representation on that committee itself. We think that that's important. And Prop 3 is a significant game change, but it's not an unlimited checkbook. And so we will have to continue to prioritize projects, regardless of area of focus. We're going to have to continue to prioritize. What is exciting is that we actually have a meaningful way to move forward and prioritize projects and actually see some accomplishment. So this just means more work, but it's really, really important, and we're excited to be able to get up and going. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Chris, I have one final question.
Yes.
With the summer positions, who can
Yes.
apply? Do we have students applying for the summer positions?
Absolutely. So it's 16 years or older. And typically we will require a driver's license because sometimes they do move from school to school. So, but it is open to high school students. And as I said, we've already seen 9 applicants, which is super exciting because over the past 3 years, I think we've had a total of 4 employees sign up for the summer program. And we used to have a waiting list. We literally had people that were waiting a year or 2 to come in and do this. So it's exciting to see that coming back.
Great opportunity.
Yes.
Compliments to Mary and your department, though, on your partnership, and the advertisement for that has been outstanding.
Yes.
So I can see why it's attracting people.
Yep, we are
One
seeing
is awareness
results.
to the public that we have a need and an opportunity to be in the
Yes.
district.
Do you think we can recruit students to work as custodians now, like after school or in between, their classes and whatnot?
So we do have a handful of high school students that are in that 68 part-time people that I shared. So we have, I believe it's 6 students right now, from Marquette, Lafayette, Eureka. I'm not sure we have one from Lafayette, but we do have 6 students in that group of 68.
Thank you.
Chris, I was just going to reiterate the appreciation to you and your team. And, it's been a historic, facilities have historically been something that sets Rockwood apart from a lot of other districts. And seeing the number of years on your team, and you're 29, those are folks that are invested in this district and, have that historical knowledge and appreciation, which I don't think can be is duplicated anywhere else, if I had to guess. I mean, I'm around a lot of districts. Nobody's facilities look like ours, and that is just look at the trash cans when you're on a campus somewhere. There's little things. I'm not talking about shiny and sparkly things. It's very noticeable, and there are districts that don't manage their financial budget's the same as we do, and so they can't afford certain things. I have a niece who's in a public school district that I will not name, but my brother's been part of the go up on a Saturday to mow the field crew, and this is way pre-pandemic, so had nothing to do with current shortages or anything. So I just really wanted to reiterate that appreciation because it really does set Rockwood apart and makes it nice to come to work for everybody and to school. So thank you.
And I do want to add something real quick on the staffing discussion. We are by no means staying complacent. We look at that list of people. We know the openings we have. We are continuing to look at ways and be creative about how we fix that because it's no one's wish to continue down the road we're going. We need to find ways to make this better. And we are continuing to do that. And we're hopeful this next budget year, we will have some improvement in those areas.
Thank you.
Okay.